There's two policies that I feel we don't really understand, which is a funeral policy and a life policy. A lot of people, they don't understand the difference. I want you to explain to us what is the difference between a life cover and a funeral policy, and what are the payouts. I know a lot of people, they only know the funeral policy, but they don't know much about the life cover. What are the difference? What are the payouts?
Okay, that's a very interesting topic. I once wrote a status on Facebook, I think a year before, asking the same thing. Do you understand what a life policy is? Do you understand what a funeral policy is? And majority of people didn't understand. And I think these are the topics that we need to continue having so that people can take the right policies for themselves. So a funeral policy, as it says, funeral, it's a policy that will cover you in the event of your death, right? To cover funeral expenses. There won't be any money left after that. That's the reason why insurance companies or companies that offer funeral policies, they usually max it to 100,000 rands just for the funeral. So we know, especially in the Black communities, we spend a lot on funerals. So 100,000 rand is nothing. So a funeral policy is for a funeral, right? For if I'm dead, my son and my brothers and my partner will use that 100,000 rand to buy me a coffin, to cater for the guests, and to pay for deco and whatever, if it's necessary to do so. 100,000 rand example is only for the funeral. So a funeral policy is a policy that is meant to cover expenses for your funeral. Is it clear?
Right.
Okay. Now, a life policy. A life policy is there for different reasons, many different reasons. Number one, I've got a child. Okay, let's say I've got a house, and should I die before settling the house, the life policy will pay the difference. So in the life policy, they cover my life as per my estate. Estate, I'm talking about my dad's, I'm talking about my house, I'm talking about my car, I'm talking about my children, and every other person who is dependent on me, who's going to benefit from my death. Okay, it sounds so bad, benefit from my death, but yes, people will benefit from our death because of the life policies. So if I die today, the life policy should be able to settle the bond, should be able to settle my debts, should be able to settle maybe a car if it's part of the debts, right? And whatever is left. Say for example, my estate is worth 5 million. I'm going to be covered for 5 million and more, right? Because if the debts are worth 3 million, then the balance is 2 million. Then that balance, remember there's also tax for dying, right? They'll have to tax me after I've left. After dying, they're still going to tax whatever is in my estate. They'll have to tax my estate, right? And whatever is left after paying the debts and everything else, then that's where my children will benefit from, or my family will benefit from. So a life policy, it's not for your funeral. It's for everything and everyone that you've left behind to be taken care of, for your debts to be settled, for your children to be taken care of, and everyone else who was dependent on you or who was part of your family. Does it make sense?
It does. When do they pay it out?
Okay, so firstly, let me go back to the funeral policy. The funeral policy is paid within 24 hours from reporting your death, because they have to start preparing your funeral. A life policy. So before taking a life policy, now I've seen a lot of adverts where they don't do underwriting. Underwriting, that's where they take medicals, check your blood. If you're HIV positive, some companies does not cover you. If you are a smoker, your premiums will be high. If you've got some sort of a severe illness, maybe cancer or whatever, they cover you for such things. Or if you do not have it, they'll still cover you for cancer, for whatever and whatever. Should you happen to be sick from cancer, part of the life policy would pay for your treatment as a cancer patient. Should you have an accident, they will pay you for not being able to work because you are covered for disability or accidental death. For loss of income, you get retrenched, you can add that to your policy. Then should you lose your job, they'll pay for that. But the life policy, the umbrella policy, which is the life policy, will still be on because you have not died as yet, right? So usually you'll do underwriting. Some companies say no medicals, but we can still cover you. And I just feel like it's a bit of a risk, because if you're going to cover my life, and you don't know that maybe I smoke, maybe I'm an alcoholic, maybe I do dangerous activities like skydiving and bungee jumping and all these things, or maybe I'm even a criminal. I go and do heists, for example, you don't know the type of, yes, you ask certain questions, but for my medicals, you need to check my urine, you need to check my blood, you need to check my BP. What if I'm a BP, I've got high blood pressure? It's a risk. You understand? If I'm overweight, I'm also a risk. So those things need to be assessed before giving someone a life policy. Hence, we've got a lot of people saying they didn't pay out the life policy. They didn't pay it out because in the event of a death, now you're not worthy of the life policy because of the other dangerous things you're doing.
And they're the one who said, Gucci, they're not even gonna do these tests.
They're not gonna check your blood. You didn't even disclose that you were a smoker, and then you die of lung cancer.
So do you think one should always go to a company that will require all these things when you are taking?
Yes, I would advise people to check, even though there are companies these days that cover people with HIV. They don't need to, yes, they'll take the test, and if you're ever HIV positive, they'll still cover you. Previously, they didn't allow that. There are companies that does cover such people, right? But if you're a smoker, if you drink too much alcohol, if you play activities that are dangerous, you are high risk. Your premium is going to be high. So that's why a lot of people don't take life policies, because of such things. They rather have take multiple funeral policies. But if you can take 10 funeral policies, it will never cover the debts that you might have left, and it will never take care of your family. So I would say rather go underwriting beforehand, even if it's a high risk. If you're willing to change your lifestyle, the premium is going to go down. And with life policy, you get to be covered for millions. I mean, people don't earn millions at the moment, but when you die, there'll be millions that will be paid to your family, so that they don't struggle, especially with people with young kids.
And especially if your kids were used to a comfortable life, now that you are gone, they must struggle. So I think a life policy is very important.
Yes.
So your kids can still
live the same life. Yes, they won't cry that much. Yes, so.
Like, hey, but millions are coming.
But at least mommy is taking care of us in heaven.
Yes. Right.
So don't leave debts for your family. Rather leave a legacy. Rather leave a debt-free estate. Leave properties, leave investments, leave. But remember, we also need to educate our children about this, because we know, I mean, especially in the Black communities, a parent will die and leave millions. Then the child drop out of school, they buy expensive cars, they travel with girls, they drink alcohol,
smoke drugs.
And there's this show on
I Blew It.
I Blew It. I mean, let's learn from I Blew It.
I think it's important. Okay, and thank you for that.